Welcome everyone to MHQ's Foundation 101 podcast, the first of a long series of events where we will be discussing with the members of MHQ the multiple use of foundation in practice from all angles.
Asset consolidation, business continuity, asset protection, and legacy planning.
A whole program. So we will also touch on all parties related to a foundation.
Yes, the founder, beneficiary or beneficiaries, the council members, the guardian, as well as their roles and duties.
So I'm joined here with Kat Zagati, Director Legal with MHQ, and pretty much the one person that has set up the most foundation to date in this lovely country of ours. And the debate for me will start with a simple question. What, Kat, is a foundation?
Foundation is an independent legal entity which shares similarities of functions with companies and trusts, while it cannot be considered as a hybrid of both.
Okay, so you touch on two interesting aspects: companies, which everyone understands, and trust, which pretty much no one does. So we will touch on both and go more granular down the line of the difference between trust and foundation. But let's look at companies. So we said that a foundation is similar to a company. So like a company, it is a registered tool. Like a company, it has a memorandum and article. They are called bylaws and charter in the case of a foundation. Like a company, it is managed by individuals. In a company, these are your directors. And like a company, it has this ability to hold all different asset classes, so to consolidate one person's wealth and operation. So first pause is ability to consolidate is exactly the same as the one of a foundation. So my question to you is what it cannot do. And my feel is that from an asset protection standpoint, it seems hopefully that it's more out there than a company. And clearly from a legacy planning standpoint, a company has not a lot to offer. So where is it not like a company?
Unlike a company, a foundation doesn't have any shares. It's a so-called self-owned orphan entity which can survive in perpetuity.
Okay, so if I look at my screen now, my example, what I do have here is a foundation. And if you see, what has disappeared is the founder. There's no more shareholder at the top. Pretty much we have morphed this company into a floating balloon. And that's what we call a foundation holding. It is there, no more shareholder, but the shareholder has shifted on the side and become the founder, the person that creates the spark. Now, like a company, it is still a registered tool. It still has bylaws and a charter, so documents that people can recognize and understand. I mentioned that it is managed by people. Here they are, but they are no longer called directors. They are called council members, but effectively they play the same role. They are in charge of the day-to-day of the foundation. More importantly, this tool can still hold all relevant asset classes, which are here. Under real estate, can be bank accounts, can be a business. You see some new breed popping up left, right, and centers. Remember, in a company, the shareholder sets it up and benefits. Here, the founder is the one that set up, but we are going to split who sets it up and who benefits, being aware that a founder can be one of the beneficiary. And you also see this creepy figure on your left-hand side. This is the guardian. This is a supervisor. This is we call that a bodyguard in practice, which is a supervision body, which is not mandatory, but can be there to ensure that legacy goes on in the event, particularly that the founder passes away. Now, we understand from this that the foundation is a little bit different, particularly because it doesn't have these shares. So Kat, my question to you, when should one consider using a foundation, say over or in conjunction with a company?
Mm-hmm. Foundation can be used for many reasons. For instance, wealth structuring, succession and estate planning, asset protection against creditors, forced heirship rules, wholesale takeovers, long-term holding structure for business, as well as charity and philanthropic purposes.
Okay, so a vast program. The two perhaps most topical uses that I see outside of consolidation are the asset protection and legacy planning aspect. So let's look at a couple of examples here. Let's assume that our business entrepreneur, our founder, is facing some sort of personal threat. Let's say his wife is going to divorce him, or he has a personal guarantee in the market, and all of a sudden is cash short. So he fears that creditor may come not against his company, but against him. What can happen here in a foundation? It's quite easy. Remember, the assets have passed to the foundation. They are no longer part of the founder's P&L. So there, if you structure under a foundation, the foundation will create this firewall, this defensive line, which will prevent the threat to go after these healthy assets that are now under the custody of the foundation. Same in the event of a threat that is personal. Let's say our founder has a stroke, he's unable to conduct his business normally, or if he passes away. In that case, the foundation will remain the holder of these underlying assets, but we will have to substitute the council member with someone else to keep on the governance, the decision making. The founder, if he is a beneficiary, is likely to be substituted as part of the beneficiaries. But again, from an asset holding standpoint, nothing changes. These assets are not subject to probate. They keep on being held in perpetuity under this foundation, under this balloon. And this is very similar, you would agree, with a trust, right? That's why people set up trust in the first place often, is to pass on assets, protect them, settle them apart from what they are doing. So you should be asking me, should I do a foundation if I'm aware what a trust is and how it works? Well, often it is very difficult for people to break down the difference between trust and foundation. So we have put a little bit of effort in pre-digesting everything to entrepreneur, so you really see the difference in practice. If you look at a trust here, you have an agreement with a trustee. So a trust does not have a distinguished legal entity. A foundation does. A foundation is like a company. Remember, it is registered, it exists, it is recognizable. I mentioned the registration aspect. There's no, in the UAE, registration of a trust per se, which makes it, again, very difficult for the land department, for various not sophisticated registries to understand. In a foundation, no such issue either, because you can have a certificate of incumbency, certificate of good standing, all these documents you are used to. To me, the key factors are the one following. In a trust, the trustee both holds and controls the assets. In a foundation, the foundation holds, but the controllers are council members. And Kat, in your practice, I'm sure you have seen so-called reluctant settlers, which are people that do not want to give away their assets. And they're right. It's very difficult to give away control. Here, you actually give away some of the control, but you can keep the biggest chunk of it because the founder can be one of the council member. He can remain in control, and that's paramount. And then comes the actual question of contractual relationship with third parties. In a trust, it's done by the trustee. In a foundation, it's done by the entity itself because it has a legal personality, the ability to enter contract directly. But the main issue is not all this. The main issue is that the foundation is very simple, and at heart, what entrepreneurs want to achieve is help me consolidate my regional and domestic assets. And for that, nothing beats a foundation. Kat, we have seen that a number of registries now accept foundation. Does the DLD now recognize foundation as direct or indirect holder of real estate?
Yes, it does.
And this has been the case for about a year. So they are precedent. This is not just theory. This is real practice, registering properties under foundation, and we'll talk about this in another podcast. Just maybe one time, what would be the transfer fee if I am to transfer my real estate into a foundation of which I'm a beneficiary? 4%?
0.125% only.
Bargain. See that? Coronavirus is giving you discount. That's great. All right. So that's what we wanted to show you, because a trust is a wonderful tool. It works for any sort of assets. But at heart, you need compatibility with the law of the land, with registries. And in practice, a foundation for domestic and regional assets is a far superior tool for consolidation, legacy planning, asset protection. So I think we've managed to go through our first podcast. Hopefully you'll be here to join us for some more. Next week, we're going to compare will against foundation, how these different tools differ, how they are comparable, and how they complement each other. In the meantime, if you have any question, you can reach out to Kat or me. We're easily identifiable through LinkedIn, and see you around for another Foundation One-on-One podcast series. Good day.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.